Hey, I'm Adam Jusko from ProudMoney.com. In this video, we are going to take an updated look at the Tomo credit card, the no credit check, no fees, no interest card that I looked at a few months ago and had some high skepticism about. So we're going to take a new look at it, but first I'm going to ask you to please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not already, and if you have already, I thank you for doing so. So a few months back, I looked at the Tomo credit card. It was getting a lot of buzz at the time as this new offering that was good for people that had no credit history because it did not have any sort of credit check, and the card itself had no fees, no interest, and rewards, all sorts of good stuff. And I was skeptical about it for a number of reasons, and sort of the quick summary was I wasn't even sure whether I believed that the card was ever actually going to roll out to real customers. But in the last week or so, there started to be some comments on that original video I did about Tomo saying that indeed people have been getting the card and some of them have gotten pretty good credit lines. So I wanted to take a new look at it to see what had changed, because a number of things have changed. So are there places where I now feel better about the card? Are there places where I'm still skeptical about the card? And the answer is yes on both of those counts. So I'm going to look at a number of things that have changed. I'm not going to look at the whole card overall so much, so go back to that original video if you don't know too much about the Tomo card to begin with, and then come back to this one. Well, I will give you a short synopsis of what the Tomo credit card is. So it's a credit card that is built for people that don't have a credit history. Perhaps you are new to the country, perhaps you are a younger person that hasn't had any credit yet, and this is a way to potentially approve people for a credit card, not based on a credit history, but based on their banking relationships that they already have right now. So if you have a bank account and they can see kind of how much money is coming in and how much is going out, then they can sort of assess you and give you a credit card based on that and assess you for a certain credit line. Now the card, like I said, in addition to having no credit check, no fees, no interest, and the way that works, the reason there is no fees and no interest is because you have to let Tomo automatically pull the money out of your bank account each month to pay your full balance. So you don't have the option to rotate or revolve a credit card balance, I should say, from month to month. It has to be paid off in full every month. All right, so in that earlier video, I said this sounds sort of too good to be true, and I poked a few holes at what Tomo was saying about the card at the time. Since then, some of those holes have been filled, although some of my skepticism also remains. So I'm going to go over a number of things that I was maybe concerned about before that have changed for the better, or some things that still remain where my skepticism is still high. First off, Tomo says that they are now reporting to the three major credit reporting bureaus, TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax, and that can help you build a credit history. So when you go after other credit cards that do require a credit check, or auto loans or mortgages or other loans, you potentially will have a credit history if you don't have one now. So previously Tomo sort of suggested that they would be reporting, but they had not sort of put that in stone, and I think maybe they had not actually set up those relationships yet. Now they say they are reporting to all three bureaus. Second, the reward on this card is now a flat 1% cash back across all of your purchases. Now this is one of the things with Tomo looking at their history, which goes back even further than the video I made a few months ago. They've been all over the place in terms of what rewards this card was going to offer. So a few months ago it was 1%, and then you could get an extra 1% for a limited amount of time if you referred to other people to the card. Now they've done away with that referral of the two people and getting the 2%. Everyone just gets 1%. They have started this new ambassador program for people that have, a social media and influencer status, that maybe you could get a higher cash back, but you have to apply for that program. And so it's not for the everyday Tomo card holder necessarily. So really what they are doing, in fact, they should just get rid of that ambassador program and stop confusing the situation. Anyway, what you are getting is 1% cash back on everything. Third, there is now an issuing bank behind the Tomo credit card. Tomo itself is not a bank. It is sort of the front end that creates the product and markets the product, but it needs a bank to actually issue the credit card. And that bank at least according to the Tomo website, is Community Federal Saving Bank. I assume that's a typo and that it should say Community Federal Savings Bank. And the only Community Federal Savings Bank I can see when doing a Google search is a bank in the New York City area. So I'm assuming that is who is behind the card. It says they are FDIC insured. So if you're at all worried about anything with that, there is a real bank behind it now. A few months back, it was a little unclear what bank was actually issuing the Tomo credit card. So all three of those things would give me more confidence in Tomo if I were a potential customer, and the fact that they're even getting cards in people's hands would make me feel a little more confident. So there really is no downside for you anyway if you are someone that is trying to build your credit and you don't have a credit history. If you sign up for the card or at least get on their wait list and then eventually apply for the card, no downside. No credit check, there's no fees, no interest. The 1% cash back isn't the greatest thing, but if you're trying to build your credit, maybe that's not a big deal because you're more interested on the fact of having the no credit check and getting credit for the first time. So all of those things are potentially good things for you. Now on my end, I still feel some skepticism about this, just like I did when I made that video a few months ago, and I'll tell you why. One thing that has not changed in the few months since I made that last video about Tomo is the fact that Tomo's business model is the same. The card has no fees, no interest, and they're pulling the money automatically out of your bank account each month to pay off all your purchases in full. You cannot carry a balance. You would never pay any interest. They're not going to get any fees from you. Well, so how is Tomo making any money? They're only making it through the merchant fees on each transaction made with the card. So every time you use your credit card, the money that actually ends up back in the bank and the credit card processors and all the people that are sort of the middlemen in that transaction, that money comes from the merchant, the gas station, the retail store, whoever. And that piece is 2 to 3% generally of the purchase price. So when you use the card, the Tomo card, that means that Tomo is going to get a piece of that 2 to 3%, but they're not going to get the whole thing. They have to split it with other partners there in the credit card processing chain. So let's say they get 1% to 1.5%, maybe they get 2%, maybe 1.5% to 2% to be generous. They get that much out of each credit card transaction. So that's not very much if you really think about it. And then you have the fact that they're giving 1% cash back on everything you buy with the card. So take out that 1%, and if they have those merchant fees, that could mean that they're only getting 0.5% to 1% on every transaction you make. They're going to need an awful lot of transactions, an awful lot of money is going to have to go through in order for that to be a viable business. 1% of $10 million is $100,000. So they would need $10 million, I'm estimating, in sales on their cards just to get $100,000. That might be fine for, one person working alone in their dining room as a credit card company, but to have any sustainability, they would need to have a lot more sales coming through, or they would have to change their business model. And so in my mind, something's got to give in the no fees, no interest, no credit check chain. There's something has to give in order for Tomo to make more money in order to survive as a company. So that means that it's not really your problem, but in the future, there could be changes to the card, so you might get it under one set of circumstances and one understanding, and it may be different down the road, whether that is a reward that goes away or that is an interest rate that was not there before in order to try and get some more money that way, or fees, or whatever it is. My guess is they will have to make more changes in order to actually make money here. They say they've got over 100,000 people on their wait list waiting for this card, and I can see why they would, because it looks like a card that is really great from the consumer end, but I don't know if they can sustain it on their end. But I like that they're actually delivering a product, and from the people that have it in their hands so far, it sounds like they're getting credit lines that they are happy enough with. And for you as a potential card holder, if you can get in and this card helps you build your credit and you don't have a credit history and that works for you, then great. Maybe Tomo is not sustainable, but if you can build your credit history in the meantime with them, well, then that's good for you. And really, their business model is their problem. So we'll see what happens. I will be rooting for them because I think it is good good thing in the marketplace to help people establish credit for the first time, and that's not the easiest thing to do, so we'll see what happens. If you have any experience with the Tomo credit card so far, I'd love to hear that in the comments here. Any questions, comments, whatever, put those in the comments as well. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and as always, please go to proudmoney.com where we do credit card reviews, we talk personal finance, we talk deals, and all sorts of other fun stuff too. Thanks for watching. Bye.